Hello, 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 everybody. How you doing? We're here. We're live. And just make sure that this is muted. And there we go. All right. So, hey, how you doing, everybody? I know it's been a couple days. I didn't do anything. Didn't upload or go live. Sorry. But I'm here today. It's Friday night. And I'll tell you what. I'm finally feeling like a little bit of stress has been kind of like relieved. Okay. So, I'm actually feeling good. So, I wanted to go live. So, how's everybody doing? So I am, although have not gotten my passport yet, I am now looking really good. Okay, I talked to the passport agency, a person, 4 times today, and I have a path to a passport before I leave. Might be a bit of a time crunch on getting the visa, but other than that, I'm looking good. I had another problem. They needed more documents. Um, Long story short, I was born under one name. My mom got married, and when I was entered into school, I was entered under that name. So when I came to the age of being able to drive, which is when everybody goes out and gets a driver's license and gets their official identification cards here in the States. Well, at least in my state. Anyway, so when I went to get that, they just took the name off my school records and stuff, right? So my ID had my name not as I was born with. Okay, I've been going by that my entire life. Okay, but in the early 2000s, my mom asked me to add my birth name back on to my identification. I did so. I had to go down to the DMV and show them my birth certificate, and upon doing that, they did their thing, and it got added. So the problem I'm currently at is showing them things that show me having both names that are 5 years old. They have to be 5 years old, and they have to be official, like official type of documents, or that type of thing that are really official. So you got to have 3 forms. It's and they all have to be 5 years old. So it's crazy, but I got it all together today. Got it all together. Got what I actually got more than what I need. So I'm walking in there, overloaded with things, but I got now plenty of things. So what I got to do is go down to the federal building on Monday morning, as soon as they open, which is really early in the morning. And I will be able to go up to a window and talk to people, and I will be able to come in and show these documents and whatever. And they can actually generate it that day and have it that day. So that's where we're at. I was scrambling today, stressed out to the max. You guys have no idea. Scrambling, looking for all of my old documents, everything, going through all my old, files, and just going absolutely nuts. But then, it was like, oh, like a ray from heaven. I finally found what I needed, and plenty of it. So I'm looking good and ready to go and face that little hiccup on Monday morning. I bear no grudge against the passport agency. Those guys got a tough job. Imagine how many people are putting in requests, and they got to process them, and then somebody like me comes along who's pushing to get it quicker and everything. I mean, and they got to interrupt their process to deal with people who are in urgent need, like I am. So I understand that this is a bit of a thorn in their side as well, to have to try to help me out, but they are being perfectly cordial about it. I gotta say, it's very just I they're I feel like when I talk to these agents that they are actually like bending over backwards almost to try and help me, to give me the information I need, and to try to be as helpful and informative as possible so that I come prepared. It was I just got to say I was very impressed by just the treatment I received talking to all the various agents of the passport agency today. Gotta say, glowing, praise from Erekose for the United States Passport Agency. Awesome. They just were. I mean, gotta say, it hit me so much that they were being so helpful and so cool. When I was, kind of expecting them to just, be, perturbed and upset at having to deal with my urgent request or whatever, right? And they weren't. They were just, I was just totally hit by it, how very, very just nice and helpful and kind they are. It was amazing, really. So I'm all set to go down Monday morning and get it all worked out. So that's where I'm at. That's why I'm so happy. That's why I'm a little bit, charged up. Get your big boy pants. Yeah, that's right, Scott. I got them. They were on all day. All day. Like I said, I talked to the passport agency 4 times today. 3 different people. And like I said, glowing, praise from me. They were just great. They were awesome. They were patient. They were awesome. I gotta say, my hat's off. They were very, very kind and very helpful, and I was impressed. Can't say it any other way. I was impressed at just how helpful they were. You'll be going great. We're looking forward. Yeah, I'm looking forward to giving you guys some footage from there. I mean, I'm hoping to, you guys can see supporters over in Australia, and we can all sit around and maybe have a chat, and that sort of stuff. So I'm, hoping that's gonna be fun too. So I'll tell you what, I was stressing the heck out today though. When I got home and finally started to get to go through my stuff, go through my files, and was like, okay, here we go, found it. I finally hit that spot where I was like, boom, there it is. I knew I had it, and there it is. Same issue, all your adult life, yeah. Well, and for me, fortunately now, after Monday, I am going to have a U.S. passport. And that U.S. passport is going to be able to clear up anybody in the future who may question who I am. Because, I mean, it's a pretty damn official form. It's a government identification, right? A federal government identification. So it's, it's going to be, interesting. So anyways, that's what I'm going to have now. So I'll be able to help. And as long as, I go in about 9.5 years as I file and renew it, I won't have to go through this, extremely painful process again. And hopefully I'll be able to save some passport agency clerks in the future by doing that, some trouble, and let them be able to do their job that they got to do that is most likely hard enough already. So they did not just know me as Erekose. Nope. Unfortunately, I don't have that kind of juice yet. No. I hope it all works out. Sounds like you got this. I think I got this. Are we going to talk about the Avery case? We are. Let's hear from the U.S. Canada. You were on the way. You're on the way. Yep. So, anyways, that's why I'm all stoked. But what a trip it's been. What a long, strange trip it's been, right? Anyway, so yes, we are going to talk about Avery. We're going to talk about Avery tonight. So we're going to talk about whatever, but I'm going to start out talking about something I saw the other day. I was in a Facebook group, and I'm in a few of them, but this particular Facebook group has people from both sides in it. For those of you that don't know, I actually like to mix it up with people on the other side, and I like to see the way they argue and what they have to say. But as I was in that group, the other day, and I saw somebody in there saying something. Yes, Captain, I have. So anyway, um, there's always, it's, I don't know, it's strange to me. The people who believe that Stephen Avery is guilty, right? Who are, I mean, the people that are just like have no doubt, the people that are just like boom, 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 no doubt, right? Those people have always used the fact that anything that they could use in Stephen's past, anything that could suggest, you know, that he was a bad guy or whatever, right? That they could use, even if it was like just circumstantial, even if it was just emotional stuff with him and his wife, right? Who was doing some pretty messed up things too. I mean, basically they use those kinds of things or whatever, and they think that those things have merit, and they think that those things are valid, and I'm sorry, but they're not. I mean, they're not. And you only have to look at the way Judge Willis, who clearly favored the prosecution pretty heavily, didn't let that stuff in. Even he didn't let that stuff in because he knew. It was all just, it was, not really relevant when it comes down to it. But they always point to it as if it is something that proves Avery's guilt. So when it comes, I saw one of these folks, talking about Bobby Dassey, in the group, and they were trying to say, show me one thing besides what was on the computer or whatever that proves that Bobby might have been, motivated to do this or whatever. It's like, well, the computer is kind of the important thing to look at to determine that. Now, Bobby's not my favorite suspect. Some of you may have realized that. He's not. I personally don't rule out law enforcement planting the blood in the RAV4. Personally, that's my personal choice. So I don't rule that out. And I see a couple of other suspects besides Bobby. Okay. So, but when it comes down to it, to suggest that what was on that computer has no merit, I mean, that's weird to say it has no merit, or to like be willing to just casually just disregard it and say, oh, well, what else is there? I mean, it's enough. But what I find odd about this is that they're having so much trouble getting on board with the kind of disturbing things that are on that computer, because really, truly, that's what they are. Disturbing things, very disturbing things, to say the least. And to be able to cast a blind eye when it comes to that, but to harp so strongly about all of the little personal issues in Stephen Avery's past where he wasn't, he wasn't such a great guy or whatever, obviously, sometimes and at times and whatever you want to say. But the fact is, you want to pull in things that are completely unrelated, right? But because they were between his wife, and because, I mean, they just really had nothing to do with anything. But when it's in this investigation, the things that are on that computer are exactly the type of things that the prosecution suggested happened to Teresa. Right? They have no proof of all this carnage happening in the trailer or in the garage. They have no proof of that. But they have a narrative where all of that takes place. Right? So why, when the prosecution's narrative is all about that kind of stuff, would that be irrelevant and easily brushed aside, or easily just casually skipped over? That doesn't make sense to me. So if you're gonna bring in all of Avery's baggage and say it's valid, then you have to give some kind of a nod to what's on that computer, and that it is disturbing. And the fact is it's the type of stuff that is exactly what the prosecution describes in their narrative. The narrative that Dean and Jerry were trying to refute. The one that Zellner is trying to refute now. Right? So it's weird to me. It's just strange to me to see that. Because even though I believe that most likely Avery was, framed, and I think he's innocent, even I am bothered a little bit by some of the things that Stephen did in his past. Even I am bothered by them. I am. That's the truth. But when it comes down to it, when I weigh everything all together as a whole, I see a huge problem on the prosecution side of the state of Wisconsin side of the coin. I see dishonesty and basically obstruction and just nothing that makes me feel like they're on the up and up. Nothing. And yeah, so that's one thing that I just thought was odd and strange. So let me just go look at the chat and see what you guys have been saying while I was on that little rant. Mm-hmm. Let's see here. Right on, dude. The Aussie supporters. Yep. Guilty in this case are very close-minded. Yeah, they can be the guilters. Yeah. Some are changing, maybe, kind of, at least subtly. I like Mr. Falcon Apata. Some of you know he shows up in the chat here sometimes. He actually believes that Stephen is 100% guilty. But we recently were talking with him about Brendan and stuff, and he is now of the opinion that if Brendan got out, he would be perfectly fine with that. That if Brendan was able to get out, he would not have any issue with that. So that's something. I can respect that. But he's still conservative. I get that. I get that too. So it's some people are, some of them are maybe adjusting their what they think a little. And, that's good. It is. Judge Willis, aka Elmer Fudd. Captain Crunch is in the house. He certainly is. Willis brought the stuff on himself in the sentencing session. Let's see, wasn't there when she left. I think it's someone not named. I'm having some annoyance with some of the folks on the other team. Ellie has planters for sure. Are there actual pictures of TH on his computer? There was some pictures of Teresa Hallbach on the computer. Yes, there were. We have all made decisions in our lives we aren't proud of, and that doesn't make us murderers. There's not any real evidence that points to S.A.'s guilt, in my opinion. Charlotte Kane, that is absolutely brilliantly said. That's absolutely true. We're all have things in our past. Every single one of us, all of us, have things in our past that we are not proud of, that we do not sing from the rooftops about. We all do. So, it doesn't mean that we're guilty of something like murder. I mean, you got to understand, taking life. I mean, you got to be a real special kind of person to think taking life is fun or good or anything like that. And a lot of times it happens in the heat of passion and anger. In those cases, when passion and all that kind of stuff takes over and you make a decision, it's unfortunate when that happens, but there's reasons why people kill, but it's to just randomly kill for fun, as like basically the prosecution would have it be here. That takes a real special kind of person. I just don't see that with Stephen. I see a rambunctious guy, youngster, kind of, getting into trouble and being a knucklehead and getting on the wrong side of the law. I certainly see that. But no, I don't see where he moved to murderer. That's just not. And the fact is, he didn't do what they thought he did in 85. There's a lot of the same BS going on in 85, same, the same game, the same playbook from the state with the 85 case, now with the Teresa Halbach case of obfuscating and obstructing and, whatever, misdirecting and doing all the things that they do. There's really virtually no change in the behavior. So I have no reason to believe that it isn't just another wrongful conviction. But yeah, that is the logic of very sick people. I am leaning rather. Let's see. There. Hi, Allie. I am leaning rather close to a suspect, but I cannot comment on, for some reason, probably a sign that I might not be on the right track. Did anyone else notice Gilter started making the cat issue as plural? Now they says he burnt cats. Oh, yeah, well, that's a lie. See, when they have to start misrepresenting things to try to make their case better, that's when they're feeling insecure. They don't want to show it. So that's why they're coming out with something like that where they're now saying cats plural, trying to make it sound worse, right? And that just shows their desperation. So I'm glad to see them doing things like that personally. Elmer Fudd Judge Willis is a pawn. Yeah. I have really a good time when I start throwing the doggone cat story around. My thumb is up, sir. Thank you, John Weber. Not good, but he was young and drunk too, but no way good about the cat thing, but does not make a murderer. Right. And I heard it wasn't even Stephen that threw the cat. I've heard that it wasn't Stephen that did it, but he took the rap for it, is what I've heard. It's because guilters, just like the state, are feeling backed up in bucket. Yeah, they're feeling back to the walls. They're seeing what's going on, and they're just going, oh, crud, They thought they were 3 years in and that nothing had come out, and they were feeling more and more secure in what they believed. And now this comes out. And they see that the state was basically working very hard to hide it. And I mean, they can help but ignore, even if they don't voice it or, and they don't immediately turn into Stephen Avery supporters, that will bother them. Because when I hear certain things as a supporter of Stephen Avery, I get bothered by things I hear sometimes too. Well, for instance, Stephen's past bothered me when I first heard about all of it, but eventually came to the conclusion that it wasn't pertinent to whether or not he murdered Teresa Halbach or was a murderer at all. He seemed like a punk teenager. Personally, that's what it strikes me as a punk teenager. And then he was thrown in jail for 18 years and wasn't able to really mature, in like most of us would out in society, and essentially comes out of prison as he's 38 years old, whatever, almost 40 years old now. And now he's, he's basically like a over 40-year-old, 20-year-old. I mean, you don't really get very sophisticated and do a lot of maturing in prison. I mean, I would think, because you're not interacting with society, anymore. Your days are, pretty much planned out and everything. So anyway, it doesn't even matter if he's innocent or guilty. What matters is if they get a fair trial. That's a good point, Al Farrow. Those who framed Avery knew what they were doing. They used someone who would be questionable enough. They are fine lighting this fire and walking away. Yeah. The fact that they walked away and hid the CD tells me that absolutely were intentional. Absolutely. Doing what they did with the CD, absolutely intentional. And then the way that they gave it over after Zellner's motion was denied in the circuit court, right? After the motion for post-conviction relief was denied, then they hand it over, right? It's obvious. It's so freaking obvious what they're doing, that they're trying to appear that they're being above board or whatever. But the fact is, it's way too late for that. I think they honestly thought that the Court of Appeals would never remand it. And I think they may have been shocked when the Court of Appeals did. And I think they may be shocked that the Court of Appeals is doing this. But then again, they shouldn't be, because they knew they were violating statute, because they were hiding the fact that they'd done it. Yeah, that's the way it is. That is what's happening. Just want a retrial. His rights were so violated. A fair trial is due. I agree, Lori Bowles. A fair trial, a new trial. I'd like to see that myself. I would really like to know if Barb was threatened with the child porn in the call to Stephen, the one where Scott goes nuts. Barb said, "You don't know how they pressured us." I think I have a very good idea of how much they were pressured, particularly Barb, personally. SA did not throw the cat in the fire, right? Hell to the yes in the past and glad of it. Bobby is one sick guy, but RH is so shady. I can't believe how he got away with. Yeah. Right? There's just so many people looking dishonest in this case who are who are on the state side. How many times? I mean, I can't. There's too many dishonest people connected with the state. Too many. Too many. Filters are now saying he held the cat in the fire. And yeah, I know. They'll just keep building on that story. Let them keep on fantasizing. They're like Kratz now with his press conference. They're trying to have their own press conference. You know, it's ridiculous. Let them keep spinning. Spin, spin, spin. Whilst Casey probably will identify the real killer, she doesn't have to. She simply needs to show that Steve had nothing to do with Teresa's disappearance, to use the technical term, the evidence. Right. Thanks, Captain. Against him, the evidence against him is wonky. Thanks, Captain. Everyone raised in the 70s, the times weren't as they are now. Everyone forgets or they don't know the atmosphere then. Even the 80s, the 90s is when everyone's back in pucker. I think Penny B made him a murderer by putting him in prison for 18 years. Yeah, I suppose that's I mean, I can't deny you your argument. It's a possibility, but I just, looking at everything in the Halbach investigation as a whole, too many dishonest people on the state side. Too many obviously dishonest people on the state side. Just too many. Too many. I mean, I normally am the type of guy who wants to side with the state. I normally assume that the state is on the up and up. But once I start seeing the proof that they're not, and then when I see as much as I've seen in this case, you know, so I don't know. It's not too much. It's just too much. Exactly, a punk teen who wasn't allowed to grow up. Absolutely. The RAV4 Finder lady says God directed her to the RAV. Well, I think God directed the two ladies to make MAM to shine a light about all that. Yeah, sure, Scott. I like that. Hello, Grace. He never got the right to his wrongs, like we all have gotten to do when we made our own mistakes. Absolutely, LL Grace. Has Ryan ever submitted DNA check? I don't think so. I don't think he has. But Tony Cheek, do you think law enforcement still has some play in that? One chick from MTSD, I think, seemed to coax Penny B to disagree. Yeah. Anyway, I'm beginning to agree with Trump's wall, but he has it way to the south. Bring it to Wisconsin. Let's see here. I wonder about that, but I think he did. Not only that, but RH being called over 20 times during that day during the day the RAV4 was found. Yeah, like 20 calls from what they believe are law enforcement. The whole state seems to be corrupt. I think the penalty for the deliberate misconduct by the police and the prosecutors should be yeah. What does everyone think about the news stories in 2005 where the RAV4 was found in Manitowoc County gravel pit instead of Avery salvage yard? I actually have not had a chance to look at those yet, unfortunately. I've been so busy this week with getting my work all to in a, just so that I had everything kind of where it should be for me to be able to leave for a week. So I have been really busy this week and haven't gotten to look at those. I've seen about them. They're on the list of things to do, but just haven't seen them yet. There will be a lot of people saying wow when they get to see the true and unroll in front of their eyes. Some just have no idea because they don't care and do not even have half the truth. Right. The state are so convinced he's guilty, they made sure they got the conviction, just like they did in 85. Absolutely. The part that bugs me the most is the issue with the coroner. Yeah, that's another one. Absolutely. Why is the one department that doesn't have a conflict of interest barred and every other department that did wasn't? It doesn't make any sense. It's backwards. It's completely freaking backwards. So yes, that's a very valid issue as well. Stephen Brendan did not have a chance right from the start. Do you think they paid people off to make all this happen? Some say follow the money. It's one way that a suspect can keep tabs on the investigation, as well as feeding their egotism. Yeah, true. Makes no sense. Just like 100 other things. Absolutely. Who are your top suspects, Erekose? My top suspects are Ryan Hillegas. And if Ryan isn't the one who was calling and harassing Teresa, then whoever was calling and harassing Teresa, and I know it wasn't Stephen Avery, whoever it was, but it wasn't. I know it wasn't Stephen, but whoever it was, and it might be Ryan, but it might be somebody we don't know, right? Those are my picks personally. So so yeah, it's like, that's just my point. It's just like it became obvious to me there when I was looking at this guy's comment talking about where he's minimizing what was on that computer like it was meaningless, essentially. And I just thought that was interesting, because I see them complain and try to use all those little stupid little things against Steven that weren't even allowed in at trial. But they try to make those into things that should matter, but they had nothing to do with the case. What was on that computer is exactly what the prosecution described happening, even though there was no proof of it happening. But everything that they said happened, there was pretty much the same stuff on that computer, that type of stuff, that type of activity. I mean, that seems awfully relevant to me. The only place where you find, that stuff that matches your narrative as the state, right? I mean, isn't it a no-brainer essentially? So to act like it's completely worthless or unimportant is, what's the word again? Oh yes, disingenuous. Is very disingenuous indeed. So, historical trial when Casey gets her day or days in court. Historical, yeah. So, that's one thing I found interesting. So, and I was meaning to look into that stuff about the RAV4 being found in the Manitowoc gravel pit. I saw some things about it or whatever, but gosh, I've just been so busy. But I do want to look into that. The fact that her pictures are on the computer is just wild. Yeah, absolutely. It just makes no sense to me why Colburn and Link got to go in his trailer. Blows my mind. Right. Why are all these people that have a conflict of interest allowed? And the one department of Manitowoc County Manitowoc County Sheriff's Department that didn't have a conflict of interest is barred. It doesn't make sense. It's just backwards. It's absolutely freaking backwards. But, you know, I watch Forensic Files. They always find blood and DNA back in the 2005 episodes. Amazing that the Saint SA could clean carpet, garage, bedding, and walls of all DNA. I mean, it is. It's absolutely amazing that there is just no trace of any of this, what they claim happened. Not a trace, nothing. And don't even tell me about the freaking bullet. Don't tell me about that stupid, ridiculously, obviously planted bullet. Because that thing is ridiculous beyond measure. Beyond. RH appears to be the classic suspect, actual killer. The way he behaved on the stand, his being charged of so much of the search efforts, many things. Yeah, absolutely. Zipper shot her trespassing, covered up by the cops. That was in a sorry. That was a big theory, Octopus Orbit, and it was big, but it just needs more to back it up. How can the law enforcement officers who prevented the coroner from doing her job be held accountable for that? Is there checks and balances in place that holds them accountable? Well, Kimberly, that's going to be... You remember the video I did the other night where I said, how do you make effective change in the criminal justice system? How do you make it better? You talk about it. People need to get together and start talking about that. And what is too far for law enforcement? At what point are they going too far? I mean, that's something that needs to, I think the conversation about that needs to start happening, especially when it comes to juveniles. You know, compounded importance when it comes to juveniles. Absolutely. But it starts with all of us talking about it and making it an issue. Who had pics of Teresa on computer? That was on the Dassey computer, Jocelyn. So is Eric. Now it's sensible to say as I'm a bit drunk. But great show, Bonnie Ladd. Big highs from Durham, UK. No owls that I can see. The nuisance caller could be someone who would stalk her. Could be why the crime scene was in Manitowoc County gravel pit. Yeah, because whoever that person was could have been manipulating law enforcement's hatred of Stephen Avery. Let's see here. What motives could... Let's see. Wow, you guys got going here. The nuisance caller could be someone who followed and stalker. Yeah, technically nothing fits in the state's narrative. That's why BDNSA trial had two different narratives. That should be illegal. The narrative should be the same one in both cases. I agree. The fact that they were able to tell two completely different stories is bizarre. What also bothers me is that they convicted Brendan of aiding in mutilation of a corpse. But who did he aid? Because Stephen wasn't found guilty of that. So who was he aiding? You know, but anyway. What motives could guilters have to not consider that Steve and Brendan are innocent? Getting all philosophical on us, Captain. Interesting idea. I wonder if they could have looked like a young boy up to no good. There's no freaking way that Stephen and Brendan cleaned anything. Yeah, absolutely, Rhonda South. But Kratz made the jury believe that it was Stephen's computer. Yeah, screw the damn bullet. George Zipper is a madman. He is a bit of a crazy old guy. Forensic Files always has fibers. Yeah, fiber. Yep. I love Forensic Files too, by the way. Brendan claimed to see a woman's blue shirt in the fire, but then, yeah, he said he saw a white shirt. He said he saw her with this, that. He saw her, yeah, any number of different ways because he was guessing at what they wanted. That's why he wasn't. That's why he was never consistent, because he didn't know, he didn't understand what they wanted, and so as he would retell the story, he was telling it differently, hoping he was getting what they wanted. Right? I mean, it just shows how Brendan did not get what was happening. He just didn't understand it. Ken Cratch had been barred from his job for the two press conferences, poison any of the jury pools. Yeah. Why did he not get in trouble? Because they don't get in trouble for that. Do you think the jury was cooked, or they were that stupid? I think it was a collection of a lot of things. The fact that there were, I think, 2 or 3 people on there that were just pretty much going to go the way of law enforcement no matter what. And I just think it was a bad situation. How would one go about figuring out why the police officers didn't charge BOD with child porn? From what I've been hearing lately, that they're actually, I haven't seen any proof or anything to suggest that there actually was child porn. So as far as I don't know, I haven't seen that. And from what I've heard, that's actually not true. That's actually, but look, if it's there, it's going to come out. I'm sure, it's going to come out eventually. I watch Forensic Files to help me sleep. Right on. Yeah, they keep saying everybody's place was a mess. From the bathroom photos, it was clean. Yeah. I've had that all along. It's stuck in the back of my mind. Kratz should have been made to leave the country. Speaking of Brendan, any updates on his case or what's next for him? I don't seem to hear much about his case lately. That's because Brendan right now is kind of in a holding pattern. One of the reasons why I'm going to Australia is to see Nye Ryder and Drizzen, along with David Rudolph, do 2 shows over in Australia. So that's part of what I'm doing over in Australia, hopefully. I'm feeling pretty good that it's going to happen now, because I found what I needed today. So I think it was searches for child. Yeah, I think that's what it was. That's what it was, exactly. It was actually like searches, and that's like not actually illegal. Now, you have to actually download it to your computer. It has to actually take residence in your computer. Then it becomes a crime, essentially. Did Mark Hod go back and talk again with Leo R? Ask him what home that girl asked about. Well, Mark is somewhere else today, not near Cuss Road, unfortunately. Right when Stephen got blamed for Teresa murder, right away, they needed to get higher authorities involved, FBI, because you need to see the conflict right away. Stephen is about to get paid. I don't think any country wants Kratz in their country. Yeah. You get to see Knight Rider, nice. Yeah, I'm going to see Knight Rider and Drizzen. They're touring around right now, so. When SA is granted a new trial, will the state be tied to their original narrative, or are they allowed to change their narrative? Subtly. They're allowed to make subtle changes, but they still have to follow along with the same evidence. It's going to be the same evidence. So they're going to be tied to the evidence. So, but they will be able to make subtle changes. But I mean, they're like Travis has pointed out, they're still going to be tied to the evidence. So it may give them a little bit of wiggle room, but they can't just like totally rewrite the narrative or whatever. Because, anyway, they're basically kind of going to be tied to what their story is, really. The shirt, that looks familiar. Yeah, I'm gonna get you one the right size for you, Allie. You watch. I will be in Australia. I'm gonna get you one. Cut her hair. Didn't cut her hair. Can you say not a credible witness? Yeah, absolutely. When Calumet reopened the investigation, Bobby Dassey actually says, I left after she did. To me, that sounds like he's admitting again. Right. Lucky I should have went and seen them a couple years ago when they were in Minneapolis. Yeah. The vacuum cleaner didn't reveal TH's hair. I'm seeing Knight Rider and Drizzen too. So excited. Cool. Love to see you there, JoJo. They were in Minneapolis in the summer. I seen Laura and Stephen in Glasgow, Scotland. It was a fantastic experience despite the subject matter. Yeah, I know what you mean, DCG Steve. Tell Knight Rider she is awesome. I will, if I get a chance to tell her, I will. I have an idea. I'll message you before I forget it. So, yeah, so many things about this, case. I mean, you guys know, some of the problems that I have with it. I mean, there's just the general dishonesty from the state on just about everything. Okay. Then you have obvious liars like Colburn and Link. I shook the cabinet and the key fell out. Yeah. It just fell right out of Narnia, dude. How many times? I mean, it's obvious that cabinet was checked at least twice. But from what I understand, it was checked probably 3 or 4 times already before he went up to it. And he had emptied it out and put the stuff back himself while he was there. And they carried the little flashlights on their belt or in their pocket like I do as an AV technician. When I'm crawling into people's AV cabinets, I got to have a little light because you can't see in there, folks. It's not lit up in the back of a cabinet. I don't know if you knew that, but it's not. So they carry the same thing we carry. So, I mean, he had every opportunity to find that key. That key wasn't in that cabinet. It's ridiculous. Obvious lies. What else? I mean, obvious, that RAV4 is just ridiculous and queer as hell. Where it is, double parked, pointing the wrong way, with a bunch of stuff piled on it to make it stand out like a sore thumb. Yeah. That thing, I mean, there's just nothing about this. Everything about this case is just like a what the is going on, right? I mean, on and on. And then, and then we get to the point where they feel weak. They know their case is weak. They know they're not liking the fact that, so much of their evidence is questionable. And, they forgot to take pictures. I mean, how do you forget? I mean, if you're investigators, I mean, it boggles the mind. This is why people like Tom Fassbender and DOJ in Wisconsin are supposed to exist to make sure that investigations don't get this messed up. So what the hell was he doing there? I mean, yeah, bizarre, this case. And then move on to him and Wiegert becoming the ones that go in and basically perform a massive show of child abuse and force feed Brendan a story bit by bit and wait for him to spit it back at them so that they can string it together in a very, 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 circuitous way, basically meaning in a way that makes it very hard. It takes the long way. It's not efficient. Basically, the way that they draw their little connect the dots is bizarre. It's just all bizarre. The state, to me, is just, yeah. There's nothing about them. Len Kaczynski, basically working for the state, calling in Tom Fassbender and Wiegert. I mean, it's just everything about it, the state and their conduct, Kratz, and, it's just everything. It's just everything. And then you see Fallon now, where they clearly violated statute. And they were clearly trying to hide it. And why would they be trying to hide it, folks? Because they know they shouldn't have done it. They know it was wrong. They know it was a violation of statute. They know that. They know that they shouldn't have done it. That's why they were hiding it. Hence the need to hide it. Stuff like this is going to continue to come out. I'm sure this isn't the last thing. So, chat's popping off here. Let me see what's going on here. The photo finding the key cabinet. Yeah. When I realized that the coins hadn't moved. Yeah, absolutely. You forget to take pictures when you are on the frame mode. Yeah. Yeah, Scott. Let's see. Never had that, but sounds good. Okay. I have 2 flashlights on my purse and gloves. I'm ready for murder. Let's see here. How did they get away with interviewing Brendan without Barb there? Because it's not required in the state of Wisconsin. It's not required to have a parent. It's not required to have an advocate, and that needs to change. That's one of those things we need to talk about it. But claiming forgetfulness gives them a pass. Well, doesn't give them a pass, but it makes them look foolish in the short term, but they'll eventually look like the idiots they are in the long term. Yeah, it's just like Erekose's. He knew it was wrong, but he also knew that once it was heard, it would not be forgotten. Barb was in court when they interviewed BD. She was in divorce court that day. Absolutely. They have always maintained. You see another lie from the state here, folks. Another disingenuous statement here, folks. They have always claimed, Tom Fassbender, when he goes on TV, whenever they put a camera in front of him, whenever, it was always claimed that Barb had the opportunity to be there. He'll say that over and over and over again. It's absolute false. It's absolute lie. It's disingenuous. I just want to say this. How did Travis describe disingenuous, folks? How did Travis do it? He said, "That's lawyer talk." He goes, "Disingenuous is lawyer talk for you're a goddamn liar." Right? So, anyways, very disingenuous indeed. To say that because she was in divorce court that day, basically all the way up until the point where they were done with Brendan. Yeah, he's totally a liar. Tom Fassbender is a freaking lying sack of crap. But anyway. Barb was in court. Yes, I have a bad feeling for that non-hearted O'Kelly. We don't know if Barb and Ellie lied about this Jocelyn. I even have peroxide to clean up DNA. Yeah, they all say I don't remember. I can't recall about a lot of stuff. Right, exactly. They're the most forgetful bunch of idiots ever. But they're so confident in what they believe. It's like, well, how? You can't remember anything. You can't remember your name from a hole in the ground. Anyway. Did anyone hear Fallon's callback of KZ about the bones when he said, "Give me a jingle"? He was trying to lighten up the dark truth. He can't hide anymore. Yeah, could be. Could very well be. Watching the weather, winter, go home, you drunk. You talk of the state. How high up do you think this went? Well, it went up to the AG's office, right? Because Peg Lautenschlager is the one that signed off that what happened to Stephen Avery in 1985 was perfectly fine. Okay? Anybody that can come to that conclusion about what happened in 1985 is a complete idiot, or they have their own agenda. Yeah. Anyway. Bushman gets to be there as a leader, but the coroner does not get to be involved. Absolutely. Kaczynski was not worried. And Bushman was actually there on the arrest party that arrested Stephen Avery in 1985, folks. That's how deep that conflict of interest goes. He was actually part of the arrest party in 1985. Directly responsible for the arrest of Stephen Avery in 1985. Michael Bushman. Remember the name. Kaczynski was worried about the campaign. He just lost. Yeah. How can we listen to Tom Fassbender's call to KZ, or Tom Fallon's call to KZ? I think it's on Mystic Jinx's YouTube channel, I believe. But also Erekose didn't Wiener and his sidekick claim that they asked her and she declined to be there. Yeah, they may have claimed that crap. Fact is, she couldn't be there because she was in court. So if they asked her, she most likely told them, "Well, no, I'll be in divorce court that day," and they were like, "Oh, good, because that's the day we're going to do it," right? You know what I mean? They didn't say that to her right on the spot, but the moment that she told them she had divorce court that day and they knew that she wouldn't be around, that's when they were like, "Okay, that's it. We're going to do that day." You know, totally. They're vultures. Fassbender and Uyghur are vultures. They are child abusers. That's hands down. What they did, the fact that they can sleep at night is just, yeah. Anyway, disingenuosity, you got it. Kratz is the very definition of disingenuosity. Erekose late to the chat, but glad to be here. Look in the files created by Pom Pom. I think it's in there. Disingenuosity is my new word roll. I'm aware that it's not strictly, grammarly, or, in the dictionary or anything like that. But I was just having a little fun with the word disingenuine. And if you understand the spirit of it when you hear disingenuosity, if you understand the spirit, then we've effectively communicated, right? All right. They asked Barb if she wanted to be there, and she said no. I don't believe so. She had divorce court. She was in divorce court that day. They could ask her all day long. She had divorce court. So if they did ask her and she told them I have divorce court and they chose that day anyway, right? Connect the dots, folks. We don't know if it's true, Charla. Bert and Ernie were the puppets agreed. So who's pulling the strings? Corruption from Sheriff's Department through the Attorney General. Bushman is in every investigation gone corrupt. Yeah. Okay, thanks, Ali. I was trying to be helpful. But I'm just not that fast. Williams called a Zellner. There you go. Thank you, Ali. Bushman's family even owned the funeral home. Yes. Kaczynski is one sick puppy. He actually became a judge after Brendan's case exactly before he self-destructed. Our government infested with degenerate incompetence. Was about the spelling of disingenuosity. I know the word. Oh, okay. Well, right on. I'm catching crap for people that are giving me crap about that word. So anyway, sorry, roll. Is it true Buting trained Uyghur and Faxbender? I'm not sure about that one, Scott. I think Buting trained, Tom Fassbender, but I don't know about Uyghur. I don't think so anyway. And she rushed over, though, that interrogation. You're allowed to make up words. I get 1,000 cool points. Oh, awesome. And she rushed right over, though, that interrogation with Wiener and the sidekick to get there. Then we're so freaking condescending with her when she asked if they were pressuring him. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, that's absolutely true. I wanted to punch him in the throat. Yeah. Wow, the deep hole in this total injustice case of Bull S. They are the worst thing I can ever think of. Disingenuosity doesn't even cover it. Thank you, Charla, for the 1,000 cool points. I'm allowed to make up words. Awesome. It's also hard for Barb to be there when they don't even tell her that they're going to talk to Brendan until after they do it. I'm right. Well, they were basically like picking him up from the school and called her and asked her, but she was like on her way to court or in court or whatever, right? On her way to court, whatever it was, and so she tells them, okay, yeah, you can pick him up from school only if you bring him back. Well, they didn't end up bringing him back. So in my mind, that kind of nullifies the permission that was given, because the permission had, it had requirements. The permission had attachments. It had strings attached, and those strings attached were not met. They ended up not taking Brendan back to school. So therefore, I cannot say that Barb gave permission, because her wishes were not honored. Her wishes, what she was told, was broken. So broken is broken. And to say that she gave permission is ridiculous. The old song, Simply Irresistible, replaced the word Simply Irresistible with disingenuosity. And they keep lying. There's no telling where the bones went. I sing along all the time now. That's awesome, Erekose. Holy crap. Stacy, we got to get that one going right there. Hold on a second, guys. I got to screen capture this. This is hilarious. I got to send this over to Stacy. See if he can do something with that. All right. Oh, it's getting hot in here, damn it. All right. Get rid of this. Can the FBI look into corruption in the state of Wisconsin? They might be able to at some point. Not sure. So Barb's, I can't translate it to their ears as no. Oh, Barb's, I can't translate it to their ears as no. Okay. So what do you think Judge Angela will be deciding, and do you think this petition has made an impact or reached enough people for the message to really sink in, whether she recuses herself or not? I think there's a chance that Kathleen Zellner is going to start getting some traction on this now. People are paying attention. They now know that the state is playing dishonest games. It's undeniable. And so, yeah, that's going to turn some minds. It's going to turn some people in the press to thinking that the state can't be trusted. It's going to have an effect. And I guarantee you there's going to be more things to continue. We had the CD, which kind of didn't seem like a big deal at the time, but now with the recent Supreme Court decision there, it's going to become a big deal. And then now we have this issue with the bones being given back, which should have been, but then the fact that they were hiding the fact that they had done it, right? That's the issue. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. During depositions on Stephen's first wrongful conviction, the state were found to have hidden documents related to Gregory Allen. Absolutely. The state have a habit of hiding exculpatory evidence. Boom. Yes, absolutely, DCG Steve. And they would not know because of the Fox Hills outing. FBI was involved to a certain degree, like Buting said. I don't think I'd trust them either. Truth Monster, that's what scares me the most. Having children, I think we should all be scared. Once we really figure this stuff out, it is so messed up. Child abuse is exactly what they did to Brendan. Absolutely, Lisa. How they rushed in when Brendan was telling Barb about how they got to his head. Absolutely. Another indicator. How desperate they are to hide what they've done. How desperate they are to hide what they've done. How desperate they are to hide what they've done. Okay? I said it 3 times because it's valid, it's important, and it should be remembered. And the more that they continue to spin and try to inflate stories to try to bolster their opinions and their arguments, the more they do that, the more it shows their own insecurity. Remember that. Who's worse, Jim Harden or the Sweaty Prize, George Orlando Hudson, or Willis and Fox? Willis and Fox, hands down, because at least Hudson reversed the verdict from that was in his court, and a lot of judges are loath to do that, but he did it, and so I think he's better than Judge Willis or Judge Fox. Certainly better than Judge Fox, who didn't recognize Brendan's confession for what it was, which is a complete piece of horse shite, and so even certainly better than him, way better, 100 times better, 1,000 times better. You want to know Jim Harden or the Sweaty Prize? Let's see. Sweaty Prize loses for the sex scandal and badgering already battered women. He's worse. Let's see here. Juveniles shouldn't be allowed to waive their Miranda rights. Packers suck, dude. When did the Packers come up? Oh, you think this is the Packers? No, this isn't Packers, dude. This is not. This is Australian. This is not the Packers. Packers color, though, but it's not the Packers. Sorry. Let's see. On the 27th, they talked to him before they even told her about it. Absolutely. I think they should be charged with child abuse. Absolutely. Shows how sick Kratz is. I think a mentally disabled kid could do what he said. And yeah, absolutely. I sing disingenuosity to the tune of bare necessities from Jungle Book. Disingenuosity. Yeah, I think that works, Allie. I like that. I like it. I like it. We gotta put together a parody. Let's chat about that, Allie. We'll do a parody. We'll upload it. We'll each upload it to our channels. And let's have some fun with it. We'll maybe get Stacy in on it too. We'll see. Those couple beers. Actually, I only had one so far, but let's see. Does sound good though. Why isn't the state of Wisconsin conflict of interest when Mr. Link and Officer Colburn were searching Steve's trailer? You're asking me why they allowed the conflict of interest to happen? Dude, we're all wondering how the hell they let it happen, how the hell they got away with it, how they continue to get away with it. Yeah, I mean that's a question that on all of our minds to be certain. So just can't believe how big this case is and how higher forces don't intervene. Oh man, it's hot in here. Oh, that feels good though. All right. Let's see. Speaking about hiding exculpatory evidence, why so many missing reports? There you go. That's probably the next rabbit hole where we're going to find the next disingenuosity of the state. Erekose, I meant when they asked Barb if she could be there the day they interrogated Brendan, and she said, I can't. They heard no. Oh, I see what you mean, Charlie. Yeah, very well could be. I mean, that's certainly reasonable that they did that, and I could see them doing that. So I can see what you mean, Charlie. Absolutely, definitely bad faith without a doubt. Just think of this: the first case, they cut the documents. He stayed there longer. Now they're doing it again. You play hide and seek as a kid. Will they hid and Kathleen seeked, right? I think it all starts with Kratz. None of this happens without him. Could be more about Fallon, maybe. I think it is stupid to have asked for conviction overturning the same judge as his original trial. Why is that? Dude, take that jersey off. I'm not taking this Australian jersey off, dude. Sorry. Did you see the opening part of this video? I mean, you know where I'm going Monday? I mean, so the Australia is appropriate. I'm sorry if you find it offensive because it's Green Bay colors. But, you know, this is just, what I'm wearing. I'm not about to sit here without a shirt on. So anyway. Do you see the one that Ziggy made me? Remember when I went live the other day? The thumbnail for it? That I had on the back of it. Disingenuosity free zone. She actually sent me a couple others, but I wasn't able to collect them today because I was so busy running around getting my final little bit of work that I had to get done today. Getting that done and then running around today and running around like a madman with my head cut off, trying to find all my paperwork so that I could have it all collected so that I can go to the passport agency on Monday. And so it's been a long week. And it looks like I'm going to be right up against it all the way up until I get on that damn plane. So sorry, the Hod, but you may not have much of a talking companion on the plane because I'll probably be up 5 or 4:30 or 5 a.m. on Monday, running around all day, desperately getting the passport and the visa together. By the time we're heading back to Australia, I may be unable to be awake, so I may be snoring my butt off, actually. So anyway, need Stacy to write the lyrics. I'm no good at that stuff. I wish it was hot here. Come on. You need to wear the control question t-shirt, Erekose, when you meet Night Rider. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, Roll. I intend to. I intend to take control question t-shirts with me and let so for I definitely want to get one for Mark. Obviously, it was his and Mr. Capaldi's idea in the first place and all that stuff. So sure, we're hot here. It is hot here. All right, so I actually have to get going. I have to do some more things tonight. I still have to start packing. I have to do some other things. I have to go around and run around tomorrow. I gotta go see my brother who doesn't exactly live nearby so that I can get something from him to be able to take with me Monday. So I got a lot of stuff on my plate this weekend, folks. I will be fitting in some time for you guys. I will be, going live here or there. Toying with the idea of going live with Allie this weekend, possibly, to talk about Darley again. We'll see. I want to definitely talk to my friend Gina about that because I want to have her there. I want to have her there and talk about it with her as well. I want you all to meet my good friend Gina. I love G. She's awesome. You guys have heard me refer to her in other videos as G. She's awesome. So that's what I'm hoping for. So I'm definitely going to be fitting some stuff in this weekend, folks. Yeah. So I'm jealous you're going to Australia. So yeah. So anyway, we like I said, maybe me and Allie will be going live this weekend to talk a little bit about Darley again. I'll probably be going live at some point. I know Mr. Capaldi, folks. Mr. Capaldi is going to be going live with Mr. Hodnot, I believe, in about in about 7 hours, I think. 6 or 7 hours. They're going to be live on Mr. Capaldi's channel. Tune in. The Hod went somewhere very interesting today, folks. Tune into Paul's channel. I may be there too. I may drag my butt out of bed early enough to be there and take part in that as well. So look for Mr. Capaldi's channel over there, and look for that coming up in about, like I said, about 7 or 8 hours. Check that out. Be sure to throw another shrimp on the Barbie. Yeah. So All right, folks, it's been fun. I got stuff I got to get done today still. So, but I wanted to say hi to everybody. I'm sorry it was 2 days without anything. I know you guys look forward to this. So, but we'll see you guys tomorrow, sometime tomorrow. And like I said, hopefully I'll see you over on Paul's channel in the morning. If you haven't already, please hit subscribe, and we'll see you.